What's going on, Jam Fam? So we finally got another podcast going. It's been a long time since I did one of these, but we got Stub and Sorty in the chat, and we're going to be talking about the state of the game and basically how we're feeling about this past update and overall, like, do we think the game's going to improve and stuff like that. So real quick, Sorty, how you feeling today?
I'm doing fine.
And Stub, how are you?
Yo, Stub.
So let's just start real quick with broad strokes. Like, how are you guys feeling about the game today? Like, do you feel like it's in a decent spot, or do you think it's been it's terrible right now?
There's definitely problems going on that Supercell needs to address. It has been addressing these problems partly, but maybe it's mixed success. I think the game is in a fine state and it'll definitely stay on the front spots for a long time, but they need to fix some problems to make sure the game lives, because the community is quitting right now and they really need to preserve it. But other than that, it's pretty fine. I still enjoy it.
Yep. How about you, Stub? How are you feeling?
So, I'm an optimistic guy. Some might say I'm a cocksucker, but I think the game is in a pretty good spot. Not like very good, it's in the middle, but I don't think it's so bad as some people put it.
Yeah, I'm kind of right there with Sorty, where it's still a good game, like at its core, but as it's gone on, there's been some things that haven't been maintained quite as well as they should have been, and it's definitely causing a lot of burnout. I mean, I especially me, I see that within my community, because there's big people that were in my community that just quit, like AR, Wi-Fi, people like that. So it's definitely affected me quite a bit, and I definitely burned out of the game myself in probably about December time, and I cut my gameplay from like 2 hours a day to literally like half an hour every other day, and I do feel better about the game now. I don't know if that's more of me just because I took a step back from the game, or if it's because I actually think the game is improving. It's probably a combination of the two, but I do like the way this update ended up landing overall. So we'll move on from there. So overall, I think we're kind of like in the middle of like how we're feeling about the game. So what were you guys most hyped for going into this update?
I was pretty hyped and am pretty hyped for the new modes going in. They are pretty fun to me. And the new brawl is basically Alien Jesus. That's pretty cool. I like Jesus. The biodome is a cool environment in general, so I'd say this update is pretty nice.
How about you, Steph? What were you most hyped for?
I was the most hyped for the new modes, specifically Payload and the new Brawler.
Yeah.
And like he said, the new environment is cool, but the new environment is definitely like alienated. Like, let's say it's not the first version of the biodome. Like, before it was pure, now it's corrupted by alien stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I'm wondering if we are gonna get like pure biome, if you get what I mean.
Yeah, after it gets like purified or something.
Yeah, after the season's over.
Am I really weird for not really paying like too much attention to the environments?
Not at all.
Listen, I'm just bad enough at the game where I need to focus on what I'm doing. I can't pay attention to like the grass color and the shit going on around the edges and stuff. So for me overall, I think the things I was most hyped for was definitely Payload. The change to the club shop was one of the things I was asking for, so I did get that delivered. The fact that they brought back new game modes and they are supposed to be keeping duels, we haven't seen that, but I imagine they're going to bring that back next month. Those were what I was super hyped for this update. That brings me to my next question, though. What were you guys thinking is like the biggest L and the biggest W for this update?
Okay, let's say this. I'll start with the L's. The big L is that they didn't address some of the problems, like the progression. I mean, the progression problem is still still pretty hard to progress in the game, even after the removed PowerPoint limit. Another thing that I am not comfortable with is the Payload game mode, Minecart, because it becomes very hard to hit the enemies behind it, they can just camp, and there's only a select few brawlers that can hit through the minecart, which is rather bad. You have to be either BB Jackie or a Trover, which is pretty bad for the meta and for the game mode. I think the minecart should be a little bit tweaked. Eve also isn't that very creative, but I'm not really complaining about it because the Brawl Stars team's creativity for brawlers have ran out, and I'm totally fine with that. They can mix up mechanics for a new one entirely. About the W's, in general, Wipeout is a fun mode. The biodome environment is pretty good. The skins are pretty good. I like the Firefly Recall one, for instance. Again, the PowerPoint rework is pretty good.
What about you, Stub? What was your biggest L and biggest W from this update?
So I think the biggest L in this update is how they handled the Eve flying mechanic. Like, I wanted it to be like to fly over walls, over more stuff, not just water. Like, you know those spikes?
Yep.
They added to Matrix. I wanted it to fly over that too. And payload, like Swaldy said, payload really needs some tweaks and some reworks. It's really obnoxious. The meta is really obnoxious. And for the dubs, I think Wipeout, it literally starts with a W. It turned out better than anyone thought, and the club shop rework, it also not only does it work for PowerPoints, it works for like gears of the day. Like, if you get a damage gear, you can buy it infinitely until your club coins are over. If you get a health, you can buy it infinitely. And speaking of health, the new health gear rework, it's a dub. The Mr. P rework, it's a dub. The new gadgets are also decent. That's about it.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with you guys about payload being an L. It was honestly the mode I was way more excited for, and to see it work out quite the way it did is kind of disappointing. And I agree that the problem is probably something about the minecart. We can talk about this a little bit more in a minute here. But as far as Wipeout being a W, I fully agree with that, and I 100% think it should be a new permanent mode being added to the game, because it's just a lot of fun. I talked about this in my video talking about the two modes, but I feel like Wipeout is just taking the very core of Brawl Stars and shaving away everything else of the other game modes, and it's just, this is how you play Brawl Stars, have fun. And that's the thing I really enjoy about it. But like I said in that video, though, I do have concerns about where the meta actually ends up going because of the maps that are out. Because I feel like it's just going to end up being, if they make it a permanent mode and put it in like competitive and stuff, I feel like it's just going to end up being another bounty or knockout clone where it's just about getting kills and not dying, and it's just going to be boring to play, where I prefer it to be like an Unga Bunga mode where you just run in and just get a bunch of kills, or you die a lot and just get you keep the pacing of the match up.
I don't think Wipeout is ever gonna be a competitive mode, because one, it's gonna overlap with bounty and knockout, because the joke is Wipeout is bounty 3.0, and two, they specifically said in the Brawl Talk they wanted it to be a more casual mode. So even if they implemented it, I don't see it being like in Power League or competitive, maybe unofficial tournaments, but that's about it.
Stub is absolutely correct. It will not be in competitive mode unless Supercell makes some reworks. But then again, if they're aiming for it to be more casual, then why not just make it casual? Although we'll have to see if it still remains in rotation like Knockout did after a while. And another thing that kind of irritates me is when you kill, you get a notification, like when you get a kill in any other mode, and it shows 1 star. That's kind of weird because you don't accumulate stars like in Bounty.
Yeah, it's kind of like they just took the bounty UI and just slapped it onto that mode. I get what you're saying, because I noticed that yesterday when we were playing on stream that it shows a star, but not but obviously, like, that's just a bounty thing. I agree that I don't know if it's actually going to be a competitive mode ever if they do keep it as a permanent game mode, because like you said, they did say that it was meant to be a casual mode in the Brawl Talk, but things changed, and if the play rate's high enough, I could see them implementing it in some way. But as you guys said, it is just bounty 3.0, but it's better. So I don't know. I definitely think if they were to implement it as more of a competitive mode, they would definitely have to remove bounty or knockout. And everyone's going to have their preferences about whether it should be bounty or knockout. Like me personally, I hate knockout, so I think knockout would be the one to go. But obviously, like that's neither here nor there. Other W's from this update are definitely the club shop change, because I hated that they time gated all the power points that you could get out of that. Buying it once a day just didn't feel good. Now, like, I unlocked my Eve out of my Brawl Pass, and I was able to get her right to level 9 just because I banked all my club points, knowing that she was going to be there. Where if the old system was still in place, I wouldn't have been able to do that. She'd still be like level 5 or 6 because I didn't have the boxes saved up, and I would be time gated on my power points.
I think the other L that we didn't mention, Siege being almost removed entirely. It's kind of both an L and a W at the same time. An L because it's a mode that was generally removed. It's the first time a mode has been, first off, given an exception because it's still a PSM map maker, and two, it's the first major mode that stayed from the beta that has been removed in general. It's also an L because of the community's reaction, and it's pretty mixed. Although most are happy about it, which is why W. In Siege you could get luck stomped much easier than say in Gem Grab, where that also happens. And by luck stomp I mean you could keep the enemy team in their spawn, but they come back at the end with the last bot and they take your base out entirely, no matter how much damage you dealt to them.
See, I think whether Siege being cut from the game is an L or a W just depends on what side of the line you are. There are a lot of people who don't like Siege, and they are happy to see it go because they just didn't enjoy doing Siege. It's like me with Showdown. They wouldn't play their Siege quests just because they didn't want to do them. So there's people like that, but I think the more competitive you are in the game and the more you enjoy 3v3s, the more you're going to like Siege, because I feel like it's the most cohesive 3v3 mode. Like as far as like you need team coordination, you need to understand what your job is depending on what brawler you play. So like the hyper competitive players, like obviously like your actual pros and stuff, they are sad to see Siege go, as far as like what I could see on Twitter from the pros that I follow. Where the casual viewers on YouTube and stuff, they are happy to see it go. So I know you guys haven't touched Power League at all. Is there a specific reason for that, or is it just like you just haven't had time?
No, I touched it.
Power League, for me, it's the enhanced version of randoms. Solo Power League is basically the game mode for real men. It is, let me just say, Team Power League is more fun. Because again, you can play with your friends, assemble a team, and you actually have high stakes of winning because with a team you can communicate with yourselves. And with randoms, that's why it's random. You don't know who you're playing with, and thus you'll probably play worse, such as them. And that's really the problem with randoms, because they tend to troll a lot, especially in the lower leagues. Play you get out of the lower leagues. And that's why I didn't really play Power League a lot, because it's nearly impossible to get back up in solo Power League. And in Team Power League, you need friends. I have no friends.
I'm your friend, Sorty, alright? Yeah, I agree that especially me being not trapped, but I'm definitely stuck in low elo. I'm like gold 1, gold 2. I definitely see that a lot. People throwing right after the first game, and people just taking terrible brawlers on maps or super low level brawlers. Like you'll see people take like a level like 3 Eve just because they want to play Eve, when that's definitely not the best situation to be playing in. What about you, Stuff? How are you feeling about Power League this season?
I think this season is like every season. Like I don't like before. I was like so hyped for Power League, like so hyped. When they delayed it by 1 week because they had technical problems, I was angry, but I could understand that. I was so hyped because it's a competitive mode. You remember Power Play? It was dog shit. Like friendship ended with Power Plays. Power League is now my only friend.
The only thing that makes Power League better than Power Play is that it doesn't have Showdown. Knowing how Showdown should have made in Power Play.
Yeah, I think inherently just because they won't do anything specifically to address teaming in Showdown, it can never be like a truly competitive mode unless you host like a Showdown tournament with no teaming or whatever.
I was so hyped, but over time I got a little bored. I was like, I would get the skin offer, and I would complete to play, like to push my rank up. But now I just play for skin.
Yeah, I'm that way too.
Like I enjoy playing the games. I enjoy the format. I enjoy picking and banning. But the people who play solo Power League and sometimes teams, if you pick someone random from your club, are just like, why Shelly and Shooting Star? Like, why?
Jesse and Nita on every map is the one that drives me nuts.
Like, and Penny, especially Penny. Like, even multiple people said, even Kairos, people listen to him very often, even when he's around. Like, he said, like, Penny is bad. My friend picks Penny. Like, really, my friend, we always talk. He picks Penny. Like, I said, no Penny. Guys, please, no Penny. No, Penny.
I mean, if that's your favorite brawler, bro.
It's not even his favorite brawler, like, because he has, like, her at a decent level, like, he picks her. But overall, I think Power League is good. Like, I like the format, but these changes that we wanted, like a report system, suggestion, switching between brawler between teammates, which is, by the way, is present in the friendly game Power League. Like, it's present. You can switch brawlers between your teammates, not in the real Power League matches or Club League.
That would be actually pretty useful to have.
I think that would benefit more in the Team Power League setup than the actual Solo Power League setup. I don't see randoms actually wanting to swap brawler amongst themselves.
Yeah, but the report system is something that would improve Solo Power League more than teams. And the suggestions would improve both, and like swapping would improve team. And I mostly play teams. Now I play solo because I don't have a lot of good friends, like good in the game, not like friends.
Yeah.
I would say that you're a bit wrong about it not being used in Solo Power League, because you never underestimate the random stupidity. Everyone thinks that they play a brawler that you picked better than you, so they will spam the swap button even if you don't want it. And the thing that annoys me about Power League randoms more, and randoms in general, is these RCM 69 QoS VGX whatever shit gets jumbled up in the nickname, picking up the Mortis's power 8 into a triple tank counter pick, or say Shelly.
Sorty, back to your point about, like, you know, if they're better at the brawler than you are and then wanting to swap. My counter argument to that is that randoms can't even pass the ball in Brawl Ball. You think they're really going to pass the brawler to you?
I say not a thing pass the brawler to me. I say they want my brawler.
Okay.
Instead, because they think they played that brawler better than me.
What about on the flip side, though? What if you're requesting their brawler? Do you actually expect them to pass their brawler to you?
I mean, if I have that brawler on a high power level,
yep,
then I think they could accept. But to be honest, you're pretty correct. I don't think they would pass a brawler to me if they already pick it.
Yeah, that's why I said I think it's better in teams. What are some changes to the Power League system that you think would actually make it, like, more beneficial to play it more often?
Well, first off, we already suggested the suggestion system, swap brawler system be implemented. I think the rank adjustment, like what rank you're facing, should be improved, because sometimes, even if devs say that they fix the rank adjustment, you can still get, say, people playing on Diamond 3 and then two teammates being on Bronze and Silver 3, which throws a weird arrangement. Another thing that I would want to be improved is win trading, because the game should maybe detect win trading somehow, because it's been a common trend. You get alts to matchmake, or you get people to throw the game for you. So there definitely should be a report system for Power League in general. And another thing that I would like is the improvement on the epic win function or the epic lose. Where you either win flawlessly or lose flawlessly. I think you should win a bit more trophies and lose a little bit lesser trophies. I mean, it's still a decrease, but it decreases less. And the winning increase that you get from 2-0 point is a little bit too small, like it's just 2 pixels, and that's it.
What do you think, Stub?
I think they like what already Swoldy said, and I think like you unlock Power League at 4.5k. So the point is to make Power League accessible to all players, and like there are lower ranks, unlike let's say Power Play, you needed the Power 10 brawler to play. There are lower ranks for lower people, but at some point picking like under-leveled brawler gets so obnoxious and becomes a trolling method for some people. I really hate that. So I'm not suggesting like making like you need power 11 let's say 6 to play in all Power League level with brawler. I'm saying like every like rank, or let's say every rank type has like a level requirement. Let's say bronze like needs level 1, silver needs like level 3, gold like needs 6 or 7, and so on and so forth.
All right.
Yeah.
Let me. I just thought of this off the top of my head, and like from a game developer standpoint, it doesn't make sense to have players join a competitive mode and then tell them they can't play certain brawlers that they have already unlocked. So what if instead of them excluding brawlers from your pool because it's under-leveled, what if they standardized everything and made it automatically so like say the standard for Gold League is gonna be like level 8 or level 9. And then if you don't have a brawler that is at that level, it pulls it up to that level for you, as to where like in like silver, say the standard is going to be level 6 or 7, if you're over leveled, it brings your level down. I think that would be a better method to actually adjust that problem, because then you're not excluding people who only have a certain amount of brawlers unlocked and leveled up, and you can still, they can still join Power League and play, and they can push. What's going to happen is that if you're a good player and you push while you have under-leveled brawlers, what's going to happen is that eventually you're going to hit the point where your brawler pool is so cut out that you're not going to have enough brawlers to actually efficiently play Power League, and you're just going to stop.
That's actually an amazing standpoint. It's like in championship challenges, you just get your brawler pulled up to the maximum level, and I think your suggestion is actually pretty amazing.
Like this idea was brought up since the implementation of Power League, but the problem is, and Frank already explained why they can't and wouldn't implement it even if they wanted. The reason is, first, people who like to play only Power League, like play competitive, won't level up brawlers anymore. They would just unlock them. They won't even care to level them up, and that would result in people not progressing, which means no money.
I understand the monetization aspect of it. I get that, but I feel like making it so that you can't bring your certain brawlers into the mode just because you haven't unlocked enough power points to level them up is very I don't know, it's very harsh. It's a very harsh punishment for something that's technically a little out of your control, because you can't level up a brawler if you don't have the direct power points to allocate to them, which obviously has been addressed through like Club League and stuff like that. But beside the point, like if you spend all your club points and your brawler's still only level 5 and you're at the mercy of getting lucky drops out of boxes, you're not going to be able to level up your brawler. So I'm going to mention my fixes for Power League, and I think the biggest issue I have with Power League, and I already said this, is that the only reward for doing Power League is you get the 2 icons and you get the skin, and then the actual end of season reward is only star points. But like I said, star points have no other use in this game other than just buying skins and boxes. So I feel like there needs to be more done with there needs to be more done with star points to actually make it worth my time to actually grind. Otherwise, it's just for bragging rights. I mean, and you can argue the same thing about ladder with trophies and all that, but I feel like at least ladder is a lot quicker. You're in and out of matches longer, where Power League is much more of a time commitment. If I want to play 30 games of Power League, it's going to take me a few hours. Where if I want to play 30 games on ladder, it's going to take me maybe an hour.
Yeah, I'd like suggest something like club shop, like for everything with star points, like how the club shop works. Because right now we need every bit of progression we need. So imagine spending all those like star points on buying power points. Like that would improve progression a lot. Like now I'm sitting on 33k power star points. Like imagine how would that translate to progression from gears to gear scrap to coins, power points.
Like a real simple solution is to either let us convert our star points into coins, which would obviously dilute the value of coins, so I don't see them actually doing that. But another thing is that instead of only buying one box, what if at the end of the season we could cash in all our star points and just rip open a ton of mega boxes?
Yeah, something like that. Instead of making it exactly like the club shop, where you get you have an option to buy mega boxes, an option to buy big boxes, and an option to buy 2 skins of the day.
I think the star points should be reworked into a club shop, and while Stab is right, converting star points into coins would dilute the value of coins entirely. It is also necessary to some extent because sure, you can convert them into power points, you will get a lot of power points. Where will you get the coins? Because it still takes a lot of time to get 1,875 coins or 2,800 coins. I say star points should be also convertible into gear tokens or gear scrap. Actually, maybe gear scrap is the better option because you run out of that faster than gear tokens. But gear tokens should probably also be an option.
Yeah.
The thing about star points is that you get quite a lot of them, so I think it will be way more expensive to buy things with star points compared to, say, club coins, considering a lot of people just have them stockpiled because they bought pretty much all of the skins.
Yeah, that's a pretty good idea. What do you think, Stub? Go ahead.
By making like a star point shop or making star points more related to progression, you are giving the player more of a choice. Like you already brought this in one of your videos. Like the game, like you need to play Club League every season. You need to play Power League to get the star points and to open the boxes. You need to play ladder to progress and like to complete the pass. Like you need to do a lot of things to maximize your progression. But by making star points more related to progression, you could give the players more of a choice. Like people who don't want to be social and join a club, or join a club but don't want to play Club League for the progression. This would solve it a bit, like not entirely, a bit.
Yep, I agree. But I think it's a good time to move on from Power League. Let's talk about Club League, and this is probably one of my biggest points of inflection on the game right now, is that Club League just doesn't feel good to play, in my opinion. Everything seems so like disconnected in a way that it just makes the game feel way too inflated. I think that like they need to find a way to consolidate things. I don't know how you guys feel about it, so you can let me know.
I think that's a solid point. Club League kind of feels off, and to be honest, it also needs slightly better matching against people, because sure, you get matched against people, but sometimes it feels like they're not in your league at all because of their profiles, say. That's why it's almost impossible to play Power League while solo. Club League while solo.
Mm-hmm.
And you may ask, why do people play Club League solo? People have reasons to play Club League solo. And I won't be getting into why specifically, but they just do. But Club League may need some reworks in the general gameplay and also in the shop system, because the club points, one, sometimes are just too small to buy anything, and two, the way you get them should be a little different. because yes, it does depend on how many tickets you spend. But what if you don't have the opportunity to do this? You should get a specific set amount if you don't play Club League at all because of private reasons.
Right.
And the whole progression system with the tickets should maybe also be reworked. I liked the removal of golden tickets because you could just camp with golden tickets for a day or two and then just push them all on the third day, which is pretty much what other clubs resorted to. Promoting is very hard because you need first place, and first place is very hard to get. So I think that at some point in leagues, there should be 2 places instead of 1, in case your club has been sitting in the same club league for, say, 5 seasons, or maybe even 3, I don't know, at least that you can promote this if you reach it, because some clubs just get stuck in the same league because people just don't play.
Right.
And while that also sets clubs of others and gives a general consensus of the skill of the clubs and its players, it also makes club league stale as you do not progress at all while you're stuck.
Like, people not being active in Club League, there should be an option to be able to opt out of it. At least with the system they have going right now, you should be able to opt out of it, and you don't want to play. Like, I probably would only play Club League till I got like 3,000 club points, and then I probably wouldn't do it at all because I just find it very cumbersome to have to handle the rest of the game.
Just get all this.
And then I think one thing I really hate about Club League is that it incentivizes you to play with a team and play in draft mode, because if you play solo in single play mode, it's like you get basically no rewards for it. You get 3 tickets you get 3 points for a win, where 3 points for a loss in a team in draft mode is like it's the same for a win. Like, you have to put so much more effort in to get the same amount of rewards or whatever. And it's like, it doesn't make sense to me. And then to add to the cumbersomeness of Club League is that when you're playing in draft mode, it doesn't really work with the quest system. So like, you're not incentivized to work on your quest when you're playing in draft. So that gets laid by the wayside. So then you have to go to ladder to grind out your quests if you want to do that, plus push trophies. And then while you're doing that, you can't work on your power league. So it's like everything is like kind of its own silo in the mode, or in the game, I should say.
So I think Club League, like you said, definitely needs an opt-in and opt-out option, but it also needs they need to make it so only 15 players need to play, like not just need to play, like make it the standard. Don't make like 2 options, because that's gonna divide the leagues and stuff and all that. So my suggestion is make an opting option and make Club League seasons only require 50 players. 15. And make the players that didn't play, give them like half the club coins they would have got if they played all their tickets, if they even participated.
My question though is, why does Club League need to be its own separate type of mode? Why can't we do a system where like you earn club? So like the whole point of Club League is to earn club trophies, correct?
Yeah.
So what if they just made it so that during the Club League days, when you did your normal matches, if you won, you earned a certain amount of trophies, and if you lost, you only got a certain amount of trophies, and then your goal was to grind out to try to get, I don't know, say like within like, you could like turn on like a Club League mode, and for your next whatever matches, you'd earn your trophies depending on your win losses or something like that. Like, or just don't cap the points, and like whoever can grind out the most within those days wins those days. Like, I don't know. I don't feel like it needs to be its own separate mode where you need to queue up and do all this other stuff. I like I said, I feel like it makes the game too bloated.
Yeah, making it a separate mode has its pros and cons, but also what you said also has its pros and cons. Making a separate mode means people would cooperate more. Like my club plays with the team always, which helps the social aspect which they are aiming for, but it also makes it more of a chore because I don't like to play 2 drafts every day. Like it's not even like let's say play club league every day. It's 2 drafts. The other modes are just the other mode is just there for the show.
I think Stab is correct. And as for my suggestions, how they should leave a club league, they should just base on the solo mode, but they should apply the power league way of picking maps, as in the rotation in power league that picks out modes, except it picks out the maps for the mode. So each time you play in a random map for a change of pace, and it should be just one ticket and not two. It shouldn't also be in a power match picking and banning format. It should be just a normal game, but the maps get randomly rotated.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I have another suggestion for how to make club league more fun instead of being like more stale and competitive at some point. Like these modes, volleyball, basketball, all these modes that got added at one point and never came back.
Mm-hmm.
I want them to be in club league. Like I don't want drafts or anything. I want just these pure modes.
Yeah, what if they made him like the static map? What if they made him like the modes that got removed and all that? If they made that for the static map, at least then you'd have a reason to want to play the static map.
Like the reason they don't implement a lot of modes, as many of you know, because they divide matchmaking times every time they add a new slot.
Yeah.
So this kind of solved this solution because we can play our favorite modes and play Club League for fun.
I think it's time to move on from Club League. But the last thing I want to talk about is Eve. Like, I know this is gonna be like kind of like a lackluster way to end the podcast for the last question. But how do you guys feel about Eve? I don't know if you guys unlocked her or if you guys just like have an opinion on her.
I just bought the Brawl Pass yesterday because I had enough gems.
Okay.
First off, let's just admit, Eve is alien Jesus. She's alien Jesus. She can float on water. I mean, she does hover it, but we don't care about that. She floats on water. That's it. That's our canon now. She's Jesus. Worship her. But to be serious, I think Supercell has exhausted their kit of making new brawlers, and they are fusing in old techniques, maybe slightly modifying them for a new brawler. And I'm actually fine with that. They can mix in mechanics to form something new in the process. And that's a good thing. You don't have enough creativity for a new mechanic, mixing old techniques and create a new one entirely. And I think her super fits in her alien atmosphere that she gives as a brawler in general.
What about you, Steph? What do you think about her?
So I unlocked Eve on both of my accounts actually. On my mini I got it like in the mega box with Mr. P. There is a screenshot in the server, you can see it. But I have her on level 10 on my main account and she's strong. Like this is before even her second star power, which is said to be even more strong. Her main attack is strong, especially with the first star power. Her super is it's not very interesting, but it has its uses. It's not like useless, but meh. And I really don't like how her flying mechanic and how they hyped it in the Brawl Talk from the thumbnail is just a trait. Like I expected like something more special, not just a trait. But overall, she's pretty strong. I bet she's gonna get an instant nerf the moment her single star power comes.
Yes, she is very strong and she will probably get an emergency nerf. About her second star power, because her order of the X is reversed again, it will be actually a little bit softened because, again, the largest projectile that she fires is 5 lasts. So, unless you can hit all of them, the second star power won't activate, which kind of balances it out entirely. But with that said, Eve is still around in the top 15 or hell, even in the top 10 because of the water mechanic that completely blocks out close ranges and only makes a way for the throwers or the far ranges. Close ranges just can't hit it, that's why people push her. And as for the water trait, to be honest, it was expected, and there isn't much to change about the water mechanic being just a trait, unless you want to add something to it entirely.
Overall, I think I'm a pretty big fan of Eve. I do like her design. I do agree that her super is a little lackluster. It's got some good things to it where like it can meat shield for you, and then like you can also use the spawners to kind of like push people back, and then you could follow the spawners because if they don't have piercing damage, they're gonna protect you. So I do like that. There are some things that I don't like about her. Like, she's supposed to be a sniper, but she also has 4,500 health or something like that at level 9. So that kind of conceptually doesn't work, in my opinion, because you give her mid-range brawler health, but super long-range brawler attack range and damage. So that's one thing that I think contributes to her strength a lot. And then overall, I don't have her gadget yet, but all it does is a jump. So, I mean, like, it gives her a little mobility, which on top of her being able to escape over water is kind of strong, too. I don't know. Overall, I think she's a good brawler. If I was going to nerf her, I'm going to talk about this in my Eve review video that I'm going to try to have out sometime this week. But overall, if I was going to nerf her, I would say that she probably needs, she definitely needs a HP nerf. Because I feel like 4,500 health for a sniper is way too much. And like it works for Squeak, but Squeak doesn't have the crazy damage output that she has. And then I think another thing that could probably get nerfed about her is maybe her damage a little bit, but she is supposed to do damage because she is a sniper. So maybe her range is just a hair, like bring her down to like bell range maybe.
If I had to buff her, however, if she would ever need the buff,
Yeah,
I would buff Super's activation speed by like half a second or hell even 1 second. And for nerfs, I would actually make her to move a little bit slower on water, and like you said, nerf her HP.
yeah. I feel like another thing, I don't like that she can kind of just sit on the water, right? Like she doesn't have to move on it. Like that's something that needs to get fixed because then that causes melee brawlers to be totally countered if there's water on the map, which isn't quite right.
Yeah, she needs to be yeeted out of the water after a set amount of time.
So I don't know if you guys remember, but back when the game first released, there used to be pools of water in Brawl Ball, and if you kick the ball, if you kick the ball onto the water, it would sit there and kind of roll around for a little bit. I think they need to do something like that with Eve.
Yeah, that thing happens with the ball now in mapmaker maps because everyone uses rope fences.
Man, don't get me started on this.
You know how Daryl used to infinitely roll on water, and I think he does that now too. And there was a mechanic where Daryl, after some amount of time, would get out of the water pool if he was still rolling in it. I think her time where she can stay on water should be a little bit longer than Daryl because his super isn't as long, but Eve again can move on water, and thus her time on the water should be a little bit longer. but she still needs to get yeeted out of the water regardless.
Yep, I agree. Yep. All right, well, I think that pretty much does it for like the Eve talk. I think we covered pretty much everything that I wanted to talk about. So we're gonna wrap this up here. What do you guys? So like last question. What do you think needs to be addressed in the following update? Since we're not gonna get a mid-season update on this pass, what would you guys like to see in the next update? If you have any ideas for that.
I would like to see the payload minecart being addressed. It's issue with what brawlers can hit behind it. I would like Eve's general stats being addressed. I would like Club League being addressed a little bit. Sure, not to do all the changes that I've suggested, like roll them out one at a time, because you don't expect major rework to come out of nowhere because you made a podcast about it. And I would also like some balancing to be addressed, like say how Fang is extremely OP because of his super chain and first star power. That's just an example.
Yep. What about you, Steph? What do you want to see?
So, I think right now only 6 brawlers in the game need a second gadget, because if the first brawler to release was 2 gadgets, so all the brawlers after her are gonna have 2. Right now only 6 are missing it, so I want them. And as many people said, we want gear reworks, like we want a gear system reworks, not just gear reworks. And you have the resistance to, I don't know, just remove it, replace it. Tweaks to payload, as already said. The return of like volleyball and basketball returned, and all the trophies dog shit. Nobody wants.
Well, Stab did a great point about the gear system rework. It definitely needs some way of faster obtaining. Like, sure, get it after level 9, okay, but again, the coin requirement, or maybe the PowerPoint requirement, needs to be tweaked to be a little lower. And you should get in general more gear tokens or gear scrap out of boxes. Another thing that I would like addressed is the contents of the smaller boxes and not the mega box, because only the mega box remains kind of viable. And out of the big box, you would get what you would normally get out of the brawl box. Like, you can get 4 power points for one brawler, 7 for another, and just a crap ton of gear scrap. I think that needs to be addressed, because it also halted progression a little bit, and people don't really talk about it.
Yeah, big boxes seem wasted. It's weird. Yeah, I think the big things for me are to probably add Wipeout permanently. I would love to see that. And if they want to keep it as a casual mode, they could always remove the trophy wins and losses from it, and that would like truly cement it as like a casual mode. I agree that there needs to be some kind of gear rework. I would like to see them move your first gear unlock down from 10 to 8, but that's just a crazy idea I had. At least then you'd unlock. Then when you get to 7, you get gadgets, gear, star powers, and then you get to grind up to level 11 to unlock your last gear. There needs to be something redone with this level up system now. And then I would like to see some kind of club system rework, because I'm not a fan of the club system. I feel like or club league system, I should say, because like I said, I feel like it's very cumbersome and it makes the game very unenjoyable. And then the last thing, and I opened this up for you, Sorty, I can't believe you didn't mention it. Why haven't they done a Penny rework yet?
No!
I was rage about it at the last minute. I mean, Penny is the TF2 of Brawl Stars. I think Supercell has been neglecting it, like Valve has been neglecting TF2. We just wait for the update. And also, stop. I want to see your friend rage about it in the comments. Please bring him in the podcast.
All right, boys. Well, that's gonna do it. Thanks for coming on. Thanks for having this chat. Everybody who listened to this and watched it on YouTube, make sure you go follow Sorty and Stub over on Twitter. Stub's a big Twitter guy. He really loves it, so he would love to accumulate as many followers as he could. He's like one of those guys. And then Sorty posts every once in a while. He's not like super active over there, but he's there. But anyway,
I can't access Twitter for some reason right now, so I will be trying to access it from different browsers. You can also check out my Reddit, because I also post there sometime, and I will also reply to people sometimes. Just don't check which subreddits I visit. Don't check.
All right. Well, I'll leave links to all that stuff down in the comment or down in the description.
Before we go,
Yes, Stub.
my popular name is S-Gamer, because Stub is only like for YouTube and your channel. Nobody knows me as Stub.
All right, so S-Gamer. Yes, that is it. All right, so like I said, that's going to do it. I want to thank everybody for watching and listening, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace.